Right now, thousands of illegal immigrants are marching toward the United States border, and they're set to arrive in a few weeks. Quick question. Is there any important event happening in about 2 weeks from now? Anything? Thousands and thousands of mostly Hondurans are marching toward the United States, committed to illegally crossing the border. We heard a similar tale in June when we argued about allowing Mexican women and children into the United States illegally. Those on the left will claim these Hondurans are innocent people and must be let in. Those on the right will argue that they are illegal and should have to go back home. Welcome back to the same old song, as the Four Tops would say. With just over 2 weeks until the midterm election, the actions on this situation could spell detrimental for either party depending on the outcome. It's precarious how these events are coinciding, don't you think? And big media is covering the events in their usual ways, interviewing the few mothers and children who are on the trek, giving the truly sad stories. But this is also happening. That's a mob of mostly young men from Honduras storming the gates at the border between Guatemala and Mexico. On the Mexican side, upwards of 500 police officers were in force to close the fence and stop these immigrants from crossing into their land. But it didn't work. They stormed the fence, they jumped off the bridge, into the river, and found other ways to cross the border. It is important to look at the people who were part of this caravan, or rather this invasion. Many have name-brand baseball caps, jeans, sneakers, backpacks. They are getting water and food as they go. They are jumping on vehicles to take them along the path. But for all intents and purposes, their trek could be much worse than what they're making it out to be, and they are traveling on their own accord. They also stop to talk to the media and say things like this.
Donald Trump is un anticristo.
Donald Trump is an antichrist, this man says. If he doesn't repent, he's going to hell. We are not criminals. We are workers and fighters.
It makes you wonder, if they put this much effort into trying to fix life in Honduras instead of literally walking away and banded together and fought for themselves, what could come of it? That man said they were fighters, so why not fight to take back your country? Instead, they are looking for America, like Bernie Sanders did in 2016. They are all coming to look for America, but they hate Donald Trump, who is president in this America. We've seen this leftist logic before. We talk about immigration all the time, but the left frames it as how we must let everyone in. Come on in. We have no borders. We're one with the world. At the very same time, they whine about how awful this country is, and they all claim they will leave it if Trump is elected, if Kavanaugh becomes a Supreme Court justice, if. And yet, they're all still here. So this country is so awful that no one wants to be here, yet it's so great that everyone from outside the border should be let in. It makes no sense to a person with any logic, but it makes perfect sense to progressive adults. And it's why you have the politicians being so squishy and no one calling them out on it. Remember Senator Dianne Feinstein of yesteryear?
I think we can enforce our borders. I think we should enforce our borders.
Agreed. So what's happening? President Trump announced his intent Monday morning in his usual Twitter fashion, saying Guatemala, Honduras, and El Salvador were not able to do the job of stopping people from leaving their country and coming illegally to the U.S. We will now begin cutting off or substantially reducing the massive foreign aid routinely given to them. Sure, but that ain't gonna stop them. We've discussed before about the 700,000 homeless adolescents and 3.5 million homeless young adults in this country. Where is the action to solve this problem? What we get is never-ending cycle of rhetoric and inaction. How about a physical deterrent this time in the form of, I don't know, a wall? Let's try that one out and see what happens. Our attention spans are gnat-like, so I stand by my conviction that the party who falters last will lose 2 weeks from now. Whoever puts forth the dumbest action closest to the midterm election will find themselves as the minority party. This is why it is so important to not emote your vote. Mark it down. I'm officially coining this phrase. Don't emote your vote. Do not head to the polls in 2 weeks with emotion of how illegal immigrants want jobs, homes, the American dream, because they want it by storming the gates and yelling they deserve it. Because if you do, you will fall prey to exactly what the Democrats want, their vote, and nothing more. Until next time, stay healthy, America.